Good morning and welcome to this edition of Slow Money Blues. I'm just getting my information set up correctly, so hey, just bear with me for a minute. Once again, as always, hey, congratulations for taking the first step to your Slow Money Blues. My name is Doug, retired U.S. Marine and two-time combat veteran turned entrepreneur at your service. And today's episode, you don't want to miss it, is Negative Ned. Super stoked to be bringing it to you. Okay, so look, before we take this deep dive with Doug into this episode called Negative Ned, if you hear some noise or whatever in the background, it's because I'm having some brand new awesome quartz countertops installed in my kitchen. So hopefully it won't disturb you too much. But do understand that in life, because we live real life, you may have some distractions, but you have to learn to block out the distractions. Also, we changed up something a little bit different just to kind of give you guys an opportunity, or just to kind of update you on what we've done. So typically what we would do is we would pre-record our audio podcast before doing our deep dive on Tuesdays from 9:30 a.m. to 10, but typically we don't go beyond 10 beyond 30 minutes. We were releasing those podcasts, which were just little snippets on Tuesdays. But now we're releasing them on Mondays so people can actually, listen to them and then say, hey, you know what? That's something that intrigues me. I want to get involved in it. Also, we've recently received just like a boatload of ratings and stuff like that for our podcast. We're super stoked. People are excited to be learning how to build, launch, and grow their own personal freedom success system. And I'm so happy to be bringing you some great content and stuff like that. And hopefully you don't just, get tired of, watching me all the time because this is a solo show. But this is the deep dive. This is where we literally help people, solopreneurs, entrepreneurs, mompreneurs, dadpreneurs, any typepreneur you are, help you build, launch, and grow your own personal freedom success system. And we do that by telling like these little stories. And some of the stories are true and some of the stories are not true, but they bring home a true fact that happens every day in life. So, like I said, we're talking about Negative Ned. Now, if you have any questions, the only thing you have to do is visit slowmoneyblues.com and click on Ask Doug, or you can submit your question on IG, Facebook, or Twitter and use hashtag SlowMoneyBlues, and I promise you we will actually get back to you and respond to your question. Also, our main points that we'll be covering today is how to create the perfect job. That's point number one. And then point number two is know your purpose, which it's awesome. And we've actually talked about this subject, a couple of times, but it's worth reiterating after you hear about Negative Ned. And this is like one of my best parts of the show is, did you do your homework? And last week's homework was very simple. Write your dream life and develop a system to achieve it by a specific date. If you have a goal, if you have an objective, and it does not have a date associated with an end date in which you want to achieve it by, you're never going to achieve it. Now, let me explain something to you. I listen to a lot of authors and podcasts. I haven't been reading much these days, but I do, scour the internet for information and stuff that I come across that's intriguing and listen to podcasts. I'll kind of lock in on that. And one of the things that I heard another podcaster talk about was, hey, look, even when you set a goal, if you don't achieve that goal, because you're on a journey towards that, you're going to be better than if you had never started. Now, I'm not telling you, hey, look, start something and don't ever try to finish it. What I'm saying is this: if you don't have a plan, you're just out here wandering aimlessly. And guess what? You're never going to reach your goals because you've never sat down and figure out what is this you want? What is this you're trying to achieve? I will tell you, if you've been rocking with me for any amount of time, you know the one thing that I'm always selling, and it's you. I'm selling you. And what I'm selling, the product that I'm actually selling, is this thing called freedom. And I promise you, freedom is the one thing that I know people are willing to die for every day. People are longing for freedom even as you're listening and you're watching right now. So I'm doing two things always in helping you build, launch, and grow your own personal freedom success system. I am also selling you because you are a masterpiece and there's none other on the face of the entire earth like you. Never will there be again, and never has there been previously. You ever, sometimes you see people and they'll say, "You look like such and such," and you say, "No, I look." You should always correct them and say, "No, I look like me," because you are a masterpiece. In fact, every human being that has been born, that is currently in the earth, or that will be born is a masterpiece. There's none other like you, so you might as well be the best version of you that you can be. So, of course, we always have to pay the bills. And, of course, our sponsors, once again, are BigNet Domain, where the net just got bigger. Hey, look, if you need email marketing, if you need hosting, WordPress, whatever, you need to purchase a domain name, .com, .us, .xyz, 123.io, .finance, .church, whatever it is, go to bignetdomain.com and use promo code BIGNET, and you'll receive a 10% savings upon checkout. Also, if you are a veteran, I encourage you and I implore you to join veteranhub.org. Go there and get your lifetime free account. I promise you, you'll never have to pay for an account. That's like my way of giving back to my community and stuff like that. And it's the one platform where veterans all over the world can connect, share, and build. Now, let's hop into this episode entitled Negative Ned. And I'm quite sure you'll be able to relate to this. So I have a friend who has a friend named Ned. Now, my friend told me that Ned always sees the glass half empty. Well, if you've been rocking with me any amount of time, listened to me, or heard about me, you know that I always see the glass not half full, but always full. And he said the reason that Ned thinks like this is because Ned is in a dead-end career with no room for advancement or promotion. So let's get personal. I asked my friend, did someone tell Ned he had to stay in his dead-end career? Like, have you ever been in a place and someone told you that you had to stay in a dead-end career? Or you went to your supervisor or you went to the owner and they said, there is no possible room for advancement or promotion. This is all the positions that we had. We're not looking to expand or grow. So because we're not looking to expand or grow and we're not willing to sell our company or sell any interest in our company, then you can't expand or grow or purchase any ownership interest in our company. So he responded, no. So why is Ned still there? My friend said everyone in Ned's family has been at the same company doing the same job for 5 generations. Now, does this sound like maybe not you, but maybe somebody you run into? And it's amazing how people say, now notice I said that he said that Ned, for the past 5 generations, his family members have all worked there. That's just what we do. Like, for example, and I'm not knocking any particular industry when I speak like this or talk about this subject about Negative Ned. It's just that you don't have to do what everybody has already done. You can actually do something new. And here's the litmus test. If what they're doing is not going to bring them freedom, then you might want to try to figure out who is it that's doing something that's helping them become more free. So, which is the whole premise of Slow Money Blues, right? Is to help you to build, launch, and grow your own personal freedom success system. I will tell you that working for someone else will never achieve this goal for you because you can never have all of your time to yourself because you're giving somebody either 4 hours, 6 hours, or 8 hours of your day left. And that doesn't even include the commute if you have to get there. So this is why Ned was frustrated because there was no opportunity for him to grow. I will tell you this, and what I've learned and listened to a lot of entrepreneurs and even my other many of my mentors, some very real and then some virtual mentors, is that when you do a thing, it's never going to hurt you when you decide to do your own freedom venture. It's actually going to help you because you're like, hey, I have this particular experience in this thing now. And guess what? I can actually apply this to my own freedom venture. Now, listen, if you're not excited about your freedom venture, no one's going to get excited about your freedom venture. I got so excited. We got to get to this poll. So, but this is kind of a perfect kind of segue. So, would you work for a company with no room for promotion or pay increase? And the answers are simply yes, no, or it depends. Now, personally, I wouldn't. I mean, even in the military, and although there is it's a slow pay scale if you're not a go getter. Well, right. If you're a go quitter and a go sitter, the pay scale is slow. But if you're a go getter, the pay scale can absolutely is fast. In fact, I knew a Marine when I was on active duty. He actually got promoted every year for 7 straight years. And if you heard that, if somebody told you that, you would be like, they would be like, that's awesome. Like that's doesn't really happen. It's rare. You have to be in certain positions. You have to prepare yourself to be promoted, right? You have to position yourself to be promoted. So that was it's unusual. It's an anomaly, but it can happen. And the poll question once again: would you work for a company with no room or promotion or pay increase? I absolutely would not. This is because it goes against everything that we kind of do. It's kind of funny when I hear, just look at Ned for example. They said that look, there's no room for opportunity, there's no room for promotion, and but each year they say, okay, he comes in and he does his annual assessment, and he's like, they say, so where do you see yourself in 5 years? And it's funny, they can say, where do you see yourself in a year? And because there's no opportunity for promotion or advancement or even pay increase, the answer is always going to be, I'm going to be right where I was, right where I am now. And the thing is, Ned is not stuck, but Ned, like a lot of people, think he may be stuck, but that because that's Ned hasn't listened to Slow Money Blues yet. He hasn't listened to Doug, and so if he listened to me, he'd be like, "Oh, I really get it." Everyone has a freedom venture. In fact, the very people that Ned worked for and his previous 5 generations worked for, the family who owned and who started this particular freedom venture, it's theirs. And they're basically saying, look, we just need other people to help us achieve our freedom goals, right? That's really, I cannot make this up. If I wanted to, I can't make this up. So let's go back and find out, you know, how to create the perfect job. That's a great question. So let's think about, first of all, what is a job? A job really is nothing more than inputs and outputs if you just minimalize it. It's inputs. It's you selling your T3E3. And if you've been rocking with me for some time, you know what that means: your time, talent, training, education, experience, and energy. That is what you are selling. Okay. And so you want to get a maximum return on investment for your T3E3. There's several ways to actually do this. Okay. Now, so when you also think about a job, it's also you probably not just selling your T3E3, but actually performing some type of task where your T3E3 is the input. The output is like the only output for a job is results or a solution to a problem. And you can do this all day, every day in any industry. For example, let's look at the automotive industry. Let's just say, hey, look, we need to assemble vehicles, right? I mean, we have all the piece parts, we have all the raw materials, but we actually have to assemble this vehicle. So how can we do it? Well, we can actually use human ingenuity and actually have the human beings actually put it together, or we can actually use technology and have robotics actually assemble, or we can do a combination of both. And typically it's always a combination of both because robots cannot build themselves, but humans can build robots. So the end goal is, hey, look, the input is these raw materials, they need to be assembled. And the problem is we don't have an end product called an automobile. And so the output from that input is always going to be an automobile. The problem is, the real problem is, I want to find a better way of transporting myself or things. Hence, hey, how about an automobile? And they can be big automobiles, small automobiles, or little automobiles. And then the solution then becomes, which is the output, is the finished product called the automobile. And of course, they need a little bit of your time. Hence, we have now a job, and they call that job an assembly worker. And then there's different subsets of assembly workers. Maybe you just work on the axle. The other person works on the engine. Another person works on a door. Another person works on, putting the hood on a vehicle, putting the trunk on a vehicle, putting the suspension, a chassis. You get where I'm going with this, right? But at the end of the day, it's a job is nothing more than a task with a series of inputs and outputs with to solve a problem. Inputs and outputs that solve a problem. And if you are an employee, you are part of the input, right? And what's the problem? The person who hired you said, I need more freedom. Now, I'm not talking about the supervisor. The supervisor did not hire you. The only person that can hire you for a job is always the person with the problem, the person that's cutting the checks. We call that person an owner. But let me digress. How do you personally create the perfect job? Well, first, you have to know, what are you really good at? Don't compare to other people. Just what are you really good at? And chances are someone has told you that you're really good at something. Now, you're good at hearing people tell you that you're good at doing something, but what you're not good at is leveraging that your T3E3 and using it to create the perfect job for you. So the perfect job for some people is, hey, look, I want to be in a nice destination. I have to be in this particular atmosphere, or I like to travel a lot, or I like to work in isolation, or I like to work with a group of people. But at the end of the day, the perfect job is where you have liberty, absolute freedom to do what you want to do, when you want to do it, how you want to do it, and get paid. But it all really starts with an assessment. And if you have never taken an assessment, there's all types of assessments out there to tell you, like, hey, look, what your strengths and what your weaknesses are, right? I recommend, if you're an entrepreneur, solopreneur, mompreneur, dadpreneur, or any type of preneur, go to freebizbrains.com and take the assessment. If you are an entrepreneur and you just starting out, go ahead and take the, I'm just starting out. If you're an established business, been in business for 2 to 5 years, take that assessment. And then, of course, if you need like a brand overhaul or remake or whatever, take the branding assessment, right? All of them are free, and you'll get a free 30-minute consultation. So that's what you want to do. You want to really know yourself. And oftentimes we don't even know ourselves, so we don't know how to even create the perfect job for ourselves. But what I do know is, like I said before, if you've been listening, the one thing I'm selling you is you. And then the second thing I'm selling you is freedom. Now, also, know your purpose. Why are you here? There is a lot of people that are just, I look at them like they are really smarter than me in that way. And it's probably because I'm not really drawn to that. I'm not really passionate about that thing. Like, I'm not passionate about being, like a neurosurgeon or being a brain surgeon or being a heart surgeon. That doesn't motivate me. That doesn't drive me. And some people, they just know, hey, look, I've always been driven. I've always wanted to be like a healthcare professional, whether I want to be a doctor or a physician assistant, or I want to be a nurse, or I want to be an anesthesiologist. They just know this. That's like in my DNA. That really gets me, that gets me wired up, fired, and ready to go. That does not move the needle for me. What moves the needle for me is helping other people discover their calling, passion, and purpose, do it with excellence, and live a legendary life. That is really my purpose on this earth. So when I meet people, I engage them, I ask them questions. And one thing I always ask them is, what do you do? How long have you been doing it? What do you really want to do? And what I do in the marketplace is try to help people overcome those objections with themselves. Take off the limits. Start to open up your understanding. Start to open up the realm of possibilities for your life. In other words, stop living small and start living big and on purpose. But in order for you to live big and on purpose, you have to know your purpose. Now, this is a mic. This is a keyboard. That's money. That's a mug. And that's an easy button. All of those things have a very distinct purpose. And I'm me. And guess what? I have a very distinct purpose. And so when you know your purpose, the reason why you exist and why you are here and why you were created, then guess what? Life is going to get a whole lot easier. And guess what? Let's take it all the way back. You won't find yourself like, guess who? Negative Ned. So what are our takeaways for today? That's a great question, and I'm going to tell you. So today's takeaways are this. No employer in the world, by the way, all employers are human beings, can offer you the freedom you desire and deserve because you are working and playing by their rules. In fact, one of the podcasts that I did is like, the question was rules, rules, rules. And I asked people, why do people make rules? And I get all kinds of responses and stuff like that with regard to that question. But the only reason that people make rules is so they can rule. And I'm going to ask you this question, even right now. Are the rules you're allowing yourself to live by, are they allowing you to become more free? Well, I can tell you right now that if you're working for someone else, those rules are their rules, which is why if you work 8 hours a day, you only have 16 hours to yourself and not all of your time, which is 24 hours in a day. So what's our homework? This is what I want you to do if you've never done it. Assess your talents, abilities, and gifts to see how to create your dream lifestyle. And your dream lifestyle should conclude with freedom. And then you too can do exactly what you want to do, when you want to do it, and who you want to do it with. So, as always, tell anyone you know suffering from slow money blues to tune in each Tuesday from 9:30 to 10 a.m. But I promise you the show is never gone that long. Follow, like, and share us on Slow Money Blues on all of our social media. You can also join our private Facebook group. And also, if you have an iPhone, please write a review and tell us how good we're doing or how terrible we're doing. And because I always want to get better. So until next time, what I want you to do is this. I want you to continue to build, launch, and grow your very own personal freedom success system. I won't see you at the top, but I'll see you over the top. This is Doug, and have an awesome week. Alrighty then. Bye. And I'm closing everything out. So let me get to my screen. So you're getting some kind of behind the scenes type stuff until I get this screen up to where I actually need it to be at. This is all the things happen when you actually doing your own when you're doing your own show. But now I'm going to hit that end stream button. So bye. That's great. And now that I know that that's recorded,